Good morning, sons and daughters of the Most High. This is Chukwemeka with the Igbo Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, in my last video, I stated that the Python dance is still ongoing and that the military is basically instilling fear on our people. So, consequently to that, some 2 days ago, we had the rumor that there was forced vaccination going on in Igboland and children were running from schools. The rumor that from Enugu that they went to, is it Ungo girls or something, to vaccinate, to force children to vaccinate, that people were dying, people were running out. As a result of that, Igboland was completely shut down. Everybody was just running. Some people were being knocked over by vehicles. Some people were knocking over vehicles. They were running to go and pick their children from schools. This happened almost everywhere, from Nnewi to Onitsha to Oka to Aba. In different places this happened all over. The children were running away that the military was forcing people to vaccinate. Now when I heard this, I was not surprised, because this is usually what goes on when you have the military around in your community at peacetime. And that is what I've been saying since, that the military needed an excuse to have a presence in Igboland, and they found that excuse with IPO. But there were different sides of the discussion. The people I currently don't live in Igboland, but I made some calls from different towns, and I got report. But basically, the dominant thing I heard was that there were some international organization that came to Ozubulu community in Anambra to administer free medical services to the people as one of their charity drive, their so-called charity drive. And those international bodies, they needed the military for protection in light of the recent shooting that happened at Ozubulu. So people saw the military there and people were running away because of that. I actually have a friend from Ozubulu that explained it to me, that people were not running away because of the military. They were actually running away because of the international communities that were coming to give them the medication, because the last time they came to do something like that, people died from those medication. And so since people were running away from Ozubulu, the news now spread all over Igboland that actually it was the military that was forcing, but the military that was there in Ozubulu were there to provide security to the international organization that came to administer their charitable medical practices, whatever, to the people. There were also conflicting news that we heard, because we also read somewhere that the Anambra state government has told the military to stop the activity they are doing. Personally, I believe that there is no smoke without fire, in as much as there are international organizations in Ozubulu trying to give people free medical assistance, which of course is totally ridiculous. I also believe that the military may be doing something, otherwise why would the Anambra state government tell them to stop? The most important thing here is that a lot of Igbos were afraid of forced vaccination, and that gives me joy. You see, I was discussing with a number of people here in Lagos, and they were making it sound as if when you run away from vaccine, you are an idiot, you are not educated, you don't know what you're doing. This is how we as Africans have developed. I keep saying that education is a very terrible thing, especially on Africans, because we are poorly educated. We were not educated in line with African values. We were educated in line to be subservient to the Europeans. People who are educated don't know that any medication, any allopathic medication, has side effects, including and especially vaccines. When I was discussing with some people here in Lagos, they were like, it's ridiculous. How can they force anybody to take any medication? How can military force them? They were making it sound as if we're just being preposterous. Brothers and sisters, I don't know what kind of world people live in. In this day and age of information, anybody who is ignorant, ignorance is a choice. If you are ignorant of something, you've made the choice to be ignorant. Brothers and sisters, in America, they force vaccination children. They vaccinate children by force in America. I'm not talking about in Nigeria or Africa. In America, they go to schools and forcefully vaccinate children in schools. They do that. There was a lady I saw on the internet the other day, a lady in Michigan that went to jail for 1 week because she refused to vaccinate her children. There was also a black woman that actually stopped giving her children medication, and the next thing they had the SWAT team in her house for a 10-hour standoff. How can people live in a day? I've not been to America. I was not there when this is happening, but I had the information here from Africa because I'm interested. But how can people who live in a day and age of information not know what's happening in the rest of the world, and they still think they're educated? What kind of education is that? Most people think vaccines are the best thing that happens since sliced bread, but that's not correct. Actually, vaccines are terrible. Brothers and sisters, I followed the 2010 case between the Nigerian government and Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, when they came in the 90s to vaccinate children in Kano State. It turns out that the outbreak that happened of meningitis, the meningitis outbreak that happened in the 90s, there were suspicions that these people were the ones that brought that outbreak so that they can bring in their vaccines. And their vaccines killed and maimed lots and lots of kids. And when they were taken to court, they refused to pay. The Minister for Health in Nigeria, the Minister for Justice in Nigeria then was a man named Michael Andoaka. Andoaka took Pfizer to court in New York, and Nigeria won the case. From WikiLeaks, it came out that Pfizer actually paid the Nigerian press to muddy his name here in Nigeria. And I remember then most people in Nigeria were insulting Andoaka, that is totally useless, that is part of the cabal. We didn't know that it was actually the Pfizer Pharmaceuticals that paid Nigerian press to muddy his name. What did he do wrong? He was fighting for Nigerian children that have been maimed and killed. The important thing for us to realize here is that vaccines are extremely dangerous and they are used for population reduction. I've said this on so many occasions. So anybody that thinks that vaccines are so good, well, good for you. I can't really change your opinion on that. So it gives me joy that that our children were running away from false vaccination. I really hope that our parents will learn from our children and keep away from all kinds of vaccination. All kinds of them, because we never know what's in those bottles. It gives me joy to see those children run, because that's what they should run. Also, the people that are coming to give free medical whatever in Ozobolo, we don't need your free medical. Go and treat your people that have all kinds of disease. We don't have as much disease as people have in Europe or in America. We don't have that. Don't listen to this nonsense that tell you the Africans they're all dropping dead disease. We don't have that. I was already in the university before I saw someone that had asthma for the first time in my life. I was in the university before I saw someone using an inhaler. When I was growing up, there's no such thing as people having lactose intolerance. It doesn't happen here in Africa. Yes, we have malaria, we have sickle cell, we have this, but we don't have lactose intolerance. We don't have cancer. We didn't have those. Anybody can remember in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 70s, there was no such things. We don't have something like Crohn's disease or sudden infant death syndrome. We don't have that nonsense. So people that are entirely plagued with disease are coming to give medical attention to people that are much healthier than them. How ironical is that? We are now seeing our children have all kinds of synthetic disease that never existed here, and nobody is raising any eyebrows. The other day I saw GT Bank was doing a symposium on autism, children with autism. These things never happened in Africa before. It never happened in our communities before. Children with cancer. When did that happen? When did that start? Why is nobody asking questions? Could something be in the vaccines we are receiving? Could something be in the food we are now eating? Why is nobody asking that question? We are taking it that is God's way. What kind of God is that our ancestors did not know? I mean, look at today. You go on the street, you see children, 8 years old, 9 years old, wearing glasses. How can a child have failing eyes at 8 years old? When did that start? When do you see children 8 years old wearing glasses? Glasses, for Christ's sake. When did that start? But this is what we're seeing today, and people are saying that vaccines are all wonderful and wonderful. Look, in anything, it's not just vaccines. Any allopathic medication you take has a tremendous side effect. You can even read it in the box. It's written there in the box. And just because you don't want your child to have measles, you can't make the child blind or give the child asthma. How can you replace measles for asthma? Measles that will go on its own, you don't even need to treat it. The fact that our people are scared that the military is getting involved in this shows the amount of fear that has been instilled on our people. Only God knows what the military is doing with their Python dance. The name of the operation is called Python dance. I mean, who want to dance with Python? Are we Indians here, for Christ's sake? Only God knows what they are doing in our communities with their Python dance. That's why our people were running away whenever they hear any whiff of military. Why should the military be on the street in a so-called peacetime? Because this is war that they have waged on our people. It gives me joy that our people realize that vaccines can potentially be used to maim and kill them even now and in the future. I wish those of us who are educated from Igbo will enlighten our people, will even enlighten ourselves on the dangers of vaccines. The entire internet, the entire world is filled with literature on the dangers of this disease. We are now seeing people in our communities die of cancer, die of diabetes, children having diabetes. We are now seeing that these things never existed before. They never existed in our communities. And because we are imbibing the food from the Western communities, we're imbibing the medication from Western communities, this is what goes on. I really wish we would go back to where we used to have native doctors. Native doctors had a much higher rate of success than these medical doctors we are seeing around, wearing lab coat, not curing anybody. You take somebody to the hospital, the person is having a stroke, 20 minutes later the person is dead. They can't cure anything. They will drain you of every resources you have and won't cure anything. When the person dies in the hospital, they say, well, it's the will of God. But when the person dies in native doctor, they will begin to insult native doctor that the doesn't know what he's doing. But if he dies in the hospital, it's now will of God. Anyway, I know this is just my voice. I'm a lonely voice in the desert. I can't really convert anybody. But I'm really happy that Igbo children realize that vaccines can be potentially dangerous to them. And all I will say is, please, my brothers and sisters, run. Run from it. These people, they come with a smiling face, but they're extremely dangerous. Run from it. Whenever someone comes with a vaccine near you, run as fast as you can. May the Most High bless you. So,